Good morning. It's Stacy from Bluebird Paper and Thread. Thank you so much for being here today. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I talk a little bit about cross stitch and eventually paper crafting, quilting, and maybe a little bit of sewing. Um, just my hobbies, what I enjoy doing. If you're returning, thank you so much for coming back. I appreciate that you took the time out of your day to check out what I'm stitching and working on. Today is Saturday, February 25th, and we just got through. We're at the tail end of a pretty big storm. I live in Southern California, so I know that those of you that are in the snow are thinking, right. But for us here in Southern California, where we're pretty much a Mediterranean climate, when it gets below 60 for several days, we freak out just a little bit. And that's what this week was. Most of this week was in the low to mid 50s, and we had a pretty nasty storm yesterday. I heard the weatherman say there is a squall front that was starting to move in last night at about 10:30. I have never in all of my days heard a weather person talk about a squall line, because when I think of a squall, I think of those horrible storms out in the middle of the ocean where, big, huge ships are rocked around and take on a bunch of water. And, he's talking about something like that moving on to land. Now, I'm only about 15 minutes from the beach by car. I could walk there, but it would probably take me half a day to walk there, honestly. So, when they say something like that, you're kind of, that's going to be a big one. So I went in to get my dog a treat, and we keep her treats in a pantry, which is in our laundry room. And I looked down on the floor and I thought, I have a senior cat. She's 16 this, I think she's 16. I don't think she's 17 yet. I think she just turned 16. And I saw liquid on the floor right outside the litter box. And I thought, is she starting to become incontinent? And so I cleaned it up, didn't think much more about it, went about my evening, came back maybe 15-20 minutes later, and I could hear a drip, drip, drip. Somehow, we have a leak. We've never had a leak in our home before. Our roof is fairly new, but we have a leak, and it was leaking at the top of my pantry and dripping all the way down the inside of the pantry and onto the floor. So that meant 45 minutes of me and my husband trying to find the source of the leak. We don't know where it's coming from. I do have solar panels up on my roof, and we're thinking something must have shifted or moved because the winds were pretty severe last night. I don't normally get freaked out by wind. They were so bad that I was unsettled last night because we just don't get that kind of thing here. A couple days ago in LA County, a tornado, I know when you guys are living in the Midwest, you're like, tornado. But it was a tornado. It was teeny tiny, and it did cause some damage in LA many years ago, probably about 25 years ago. I was home alone, and one of those teeny tiny tornadoes skipped through my neighborhood and hit a house 3 doors down. So we do get them from time to time. We always get water spouts out over the ocean. They hardly ever make landfall, so we don't really worry about those too much. But anyways, so we've had some weather. It is on its way out. We have another storm coming in on Monday and Tuesday, so it's been interesting here in Southern California. I did a lot of stitching because the weather was so cold. I didn't come out into my little craft room at all. So I've got quite a few whips to show you and a couple new starts. So instead of me sitting here chatting off your ear, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with my whips. The first one that I worked on is Redbird Sampler by Brenda Gervais. I put some time in on this and moved it along just a little bit. I started working on the motifs, and so that was kind of fun. I am stitching this on 32 count Belfast linen by Zweigart, and this is where I'm at. Can't tell if you're seeing that or not. So I started working on this and this. So that's how far I got. I am using all of the called for colors, and that is them. Really pretty. So I'm excited to get some progress done on that. I think once I get the little church done and this arch of flowers done, I think it'll go pretty quickly after that. I don't think I'm going to have it done by the end of March, but maybe before summer. So anyways, so that was my first whip. Next, I put in some time on Harietta and Company, also by Brenda Gervais, and she is my little Easter project. I believe this one came in, oops, sorry about that. I believe this one came in a kit form from, I want to say Fat Quarter Shop last year, and I picked it up. I just never started it, so I started it this year. They did not sell a floss pack with all of the called for colors. The called for colors are the 310 in DMC, but then Weeks Dye Works, Gentle Arts, and Classic Colorworks. And they did not provide that thread pack, but they did provide a thread pack with a color conversion to DMC. And so that's what I purchased, and that's what I'm using. I am stitching this on 32 count Winter Brew. And I made some progress on her little dress. I've got her suspenders done. And I worked on the plaid, the checks. And here are the called for DMCs. Pretty fun. This blue is really nice. It's like a light slate blue, blue-gray. I would like to have her done before Easter so that I can, I kind of see her finished in a pillow in my house somewhere, so I'd like to get that done. Next, I am working on the More Chocolate Bunnies Sal, hosted by Nichol Spohr. More Chocolate Bunnies. These are the buttons for the tail right here. All the little bunny tails. Someone did little pink beads for their noses. They started at the top. I started at the bottom. I think I'm going to go pink thread at the very least, but I'm contemplating whether or not to do a pink bead, seed bead, for the nose. It was super cute. I don't plan on changing any of these colors. I think they're fine the way they are for my taste. And I'm stitching this on 36 count flax linen by Zweigart. And this is how far I got. So I've got the bottom carrots done and bunnies, and I started working on chocolate. So I think it's turning out really cute. It's a quick stitch. Even on the linen, it's a really quick stitch. So I'm kind of excited about that. Anyways, so I'm not sure how I see that finished. I know Chantel from 141 Design Company is working on a finished piece for this one. I'm not sure if I'm going to go that way or if I'm going to frame it or use something that I have here. Maybe make it into a pillow. I haven't decided yet. I think I'm gonna wait and see what the finish is and then go from there. Okay, next I worked on Anne Topley, 1802. I think it's a reproduction sampler by the Scarlett House. What drew me to it is all of the bright colors on that dark fabric. I think it's just stunning. So I started down here and then I worked up here. And as I worked up here, I noticed that I was stitching with 2 strands of floss instead of 1 strand of floss. I've been doing that a lot. So I've come up with a solution because I did that before. I have these really bright Post-it sticky notes, and they're pretty sticky on the entire back. I did this on land that I love too. I am going to make myself a note in big black letters, 1 strand of floss, and I'm going to stick it on the chart where I left off because I get into trouble. I try to stitch through an entire strand of floss so I don't have any hanging over, and I know that completely, like I've done that on several of these over here where I have some leftovers. But when I pick it up, I forget that I'm stitching 1 strand of floss over, usually over 2. So I am going to do my sticky note. And if that doesn't work, there's no hope for me. I guess I'm just going to have to spend my time picking things out. So anyway, so I picked it out and I got this far on it. So I started working. I had already done the bottom. Not done with the bottom border, but I had already worked on that, added in that red color. And so then I just started working, and I think I am pretty close to being at the tippy top of the sampler. I might have a couple more. I'm not sure where I left off. But I'm getting close. It's almost as tall as it's going to be. I think maybe a couple more inches, if that. And then I can maybe start working on filling in. I am stitching this on 36 count Night Sky Edinburgh 36 count Edinburgh linen in Night Sky by Fabric on a Whim. It is a gorgeous navy color with a little bit of a green tone to it and grays. Just super pretty. And I am using all of the called for flosses. This took a while for me to kit up because I thought, I don't know what happens. I feel like I write down all of my flosses and then I order them and I always wind up missing 1 or 2. I don't know. But just bright colors, beautiful. They really stand out on the fabric. I'm really happy with how that's turning out. Next, I put some time in on my Halloween Quaker. I don't know if you guys can hear. There's something banging around outside, so if you can, I apologize. This is being stitched on 32 count Murky Belfast linen. And this is the entire piece of linen. And what I started working on was the witch. She seemed like she's going to need some concentration, and I felt like I could concentrate on counting the other day, so I worked on her. That took a few hours, actually. I was surprised at how much time that took. So I'll continue down on her body this week. We'll see how far I get. But I'm enjoying working on her, and you know, I brought her out last week or the week before. I'm using all of the called for flosses, so they all pretty much stand out on that fabric. My favorite colors on this are the purples. There's two different types of purples, and I just love the variegation on them. I think it's this one here, and then in the cats, that purple in that cat. You can make a biscornu out of that cat motif. I've seen, I think it's even done on, yeah, it's done here. They did it on orange. I don't know that I like it on orange, but they did it on orange. How cute is that? I have not done a biscornu. It is on my list of things to attempt, so we'll see. I was looking through my punch needle, primitive punch needle, and I don't know, whatever that magazine is, punch needle and primitive stitches, I think, and they have several biscornu patterns, and I thought, oh, well, I might have to try one of those rather than buy something. I've already got the magazine. I might as well try it. Next, I started working, I continued to work on my chicken club, Cornelius. This is month 1. For those of you that are new, I pre-cut my fabric, and I started the pattern. You can stitch with just the chickens, or you can stitch with the name below. And the pattern comes with the name below, but I decided I just wanted to stitch the chickens. And so I took my fabric and I started in the middle, which I don't normally do, but I did. I started in the middle because I wanted the chicken to fit. And I started in the middle of the pattern, not the middle of the portion of the pattern that I wanted to stitch in. So I was off. So I had to, he went into timeout for a few weeks, and I brought him out a week or two ago, and I've continued to work on him, and he's coming along. And he is here. I got the little body done, and now I'm working on the tail feathers. The needle minder is Cornelius. He's super cute. This is a nice easy stitch. It is being stitched on the called for fabric, which is 25 count even weave in the color barley. So yeah, so I made some progress on him. He's fun. I would like to finish this similarly to how they have it done here. I think I'm going to buy a rustic frame off of Etsy. When I do, I'll tell you about it, and I'll post, you know, the information in the description box on that video in the future. But I kind of want to do a background that's all one fabric, and then put each rooster on a sticky board and trim it out somehow, and then have this piece pop off with magnets and hang it in my kitchen, because I've got roosters in my kitchen. I just think it'd be really cute. And then also, I'm not sure if I showed this last week, but Florence came in. Florence is the second month, and she's cute. So I'm excited to get him done so I can start on her. I am probably going to be forever behind on this pattern. So there's that. Next, I worked on Winter Garden by Hello by Liz Mathews. I love this pattern. I thought I don't typically work borders first. And the reason I don't work borders first is because I tend to miscount them. And then I have to rip out or fudge somewhere else in the middle. And I just don't like doing that. So I started working, and I do it in sections. But I pulled this out and I thought, okay, and I like quadruple like counted the borders, the number of little stitchy motifs all the way down, and I actually think I got it right. We'll see. But anyways, the border was mostly done, so I focused on that cream colored detail in between each of those triangles, and I did that around the entire border. So the border, I finished the border, the gray, and then I added the cream, and then I started in on the gold, which lines the inside. Then when I'm done with the gold, I think there's 2 colors on the ground. I'll work on that. And then I'll start working on the motif on the inside. So this one, I was pleasantly surprised I had it further along than I thought or I remembered. And can I just say, I don't know if it's going to show up on camera, but that gray and that gold are so pretty together. I just love it. And I contemplated leaving these little 4 stitches out in between the triangles because you really don't see them. I mean, the color matches pretty closely to my linen color. But I am so glad that I did because it adds a little texture. So I think it would have looked like it might be missing something. So anyway, so I worked on that. Pretty happy that that's further along. I'm using all of the called for flosses. Ooh, they are a hot mess. All the called for flosses. And I'm stitching this on 28 count artichoke linen by Wichelt. This is not the called for fabric, but I didn't want to place an order when I started it, so I just picked something from my stash. And it doesn't have too much of a green cast to it. A tiny bit, but not enough to make me go, ew, that's not going to look good. So I'm happy with how that's turning out so far. I plan on framing this when it's done and, you know, putting it up in here somewhere. Then I decided that since we are fast approaching winter, that I probably should work on Brrr, It's Cold Outside by Brenda Gervais. I don't feel like I got a lot done on this. I only think I worked on it 1 or 2 mornings. I am stitching this on the called for fabric with the called for floss. And the called for fabric is 32 count vintage country mocha linen. No, I'm sorry. I'm using Lugana. Because I had this in my stash. And this is how far I got. Oops. The struggle is real today, people. I apologize. Okay. So I worked on the bowl. He is super cute. I don't know if I'll get this done before spring gets here, but I'll certainly have it done before next winter. I think he's really pretty. There's got to be a better way to be neat and tidy with my flosses, but I'm using the called for flosses. They're just real pretty and bright. So anyway, so I put some time in on him. I realize I'm debating, should I just focus on 1 or 2 projects and get them finished? And, you know, I pick it up, I'm like, yes, I will. And then I I just can't. So I just work on a little bit every every um, every week until they get to a point where they're almost done, and then I think I'll focus on it. Now let's talk about my Stitchy Woe. My Stitchy Woe made me so sad. I'm working on Land That I Love by Teresa Kovic. I love this piece. If you've been following me from the beginning, you know that I don't like stitching the houses. And I think that they're time consuming, but I love all the patterns with the houses. So I started at the bottom. I always start in the my lower right corner, and I kind of work, you know, like this. So I've got some of this border done and some of this done, and I've got all of this done. I'm started on the last house, which of course is the biggest house. So I was pretty excited. I started on the brick. You can see it here. It has a little bit of brick. Maybe you can't see it very well, but it has a little bit of brick down here. And then this wall here is the side of the house. So it's a little darker to kind of give it some dimension. And I thought, well, let's get that over with because it's just straight stitching and it's going to take a long time. It's about 40 stitches high from the top of the brick to the bottom of the roof line, times, I think it's 16 across. So it's going to take some time. I was thrilled. I worked on this for a couple of nights and I loved it and everything was going great. And then I got to the roof line and I was doing my fill-in work and I realized, why does that look different than the other stitches? And why does that look thicker? And what, you know, I've noticed I've been having a hard time getting the needle through the fabric when I've got like 4 stitches in, you know, kind of sharing the same space in the fabric. Well, the reason for that is that I was stitching 2 strands of floss. Ooh, I am so sorry. 2 strands of floss over 2. I had to rip it all out. It looked so different. You can see everything else is being done 1/2. And it looks really, really good. I had to rip it out. I spent I spent an hour and a half one evening, an hour and a half another evening, and an hour in the morning stitching everything out. And I only had it done up to about here. And I ripped it all out and I started it over last night. I thought about leaving it and I thought, what would happen? And I just started looking at it and I thought, it looks so different. I couldn't do it. If it were just the brick, then I might have gone and done the brick all the way across the bottom of the house with 2 just to make it consistent and then stitch the rest of the house 1/1. But it wasn't that and it didn't look good. So I'm really glad that I caught it. I want this piece finished. I finally figured out where I want to hang it in my house. So I want it finished. Once I get this house done, I'll be pretty much 1/3 of the way done. And I would like to try to have this done by my birthday in August. And then this is where I discovered that I need to put sticky note and put it right over where I've left off so that if I wait a few weeks to pick it up again, I'm not forgetting that I'm stitching 1 strand over 2. I'm using all of the called for flosses. And I love the colors. They're so pretty. And I'm stitching this on 40 count vintage country mocha Newcastle linen. It is so soft and pliable. I can stitch in hand, but since I've picked it up in the last year, cross stitch, I haven't done a lot of stitching in hand. This fabric, last night I miscounted down here, and I left. I did it again. I have to take out a row. Whatever. This is probably going to go on timeout now for a little bit because I have to take out that top row right here because I messed up. It's okay. I stitched this top row in hand, and then I miscounted because I left out this row originally, and then that meant I had to go up one more on the roof line. So I was working on fixing that so I wouldn't forget and be off in my count. And I stitched it in hand, and this fabric, it's too soft. It was kind of making me crazy, but I kept thinking, oh, it'll just take me 2 seconds, and I'm not going to put in a hoop for that. And now that I'm looking at it, yeah, I think this is going to go on timeout. You know, I wasn't going to put it on timeout till I found that error. Anyways, I have my last whip is hands-on design, and I started March. I had done, I think I showed you last week that I started March. Oh no, this is a new start. A new start, March. We're done with whips. We're on a new start. So, this is hands-on design, a year of celebrations. I am stitching this on 32 count desert opalescent Lugana. And this is my start. I don't know if you can see the opalescent. Maybe you can see the sheen just a little bit. It is so fun. I am loving this fabric for this piece. But that's how far I got. I would say it's almost halfway done. And this was also a finish. Oh, I'm using the called for flosses on this one. I finished February, and the February is a little February's done, and I did swap out the flowers in here. Were I'm not using the called for hand-dyed flosses, fancy threads. I'm using DMCs, the called for DMCs, and this was supposed to be nutmeg, and the color that translated made it too orange, and it looked garish to me. I didn't like it, so I found a really pretty pink and I changed it, and I am so happy I did that. So that's done. I'm not sure where I'm going, what I'm going to do with these. Oh, they might fit. I bought 2 new frames. I'll show you in a little bit. These might actually fit in those frames really nicely. We'll have to contemplate that. Either that, or I might make them into a flat fold and just prop them up somewhere. But I like them. They're so cute. So that was a new start and a finish. So, you know, I finished something. That's good. That counts. Oof. All of these flosses. There's so many different colors with this particular piece that I did not put them on a ring. They go everywhere. My next new start was stitching with the Housewives, the spring stitching seasons. This is a club by the Fat Quarter Shop. I will link the description or the listing from their shop in the description box below, but they are sold out. But if you want to go and see all of the things that come with each kit, and then watch, I'll show you each one as I do it throughout the year, and then I will you can decide if you want to participate in their annual clubs for the next go around when they offer it. It came with this really cute bag. There's a dog hair on it. And a really cute enamel charm. It has a lobster claw at the top, so it works really nicely with as a zipper pull. When I'm done stitching, I might actually, I don't have a key ring for my Crafty Shed keys, so I might use this. It's so cute. So anyways, I'm stitching this with the called for flosses because they were sent in the kit. They're very soft and springy. I really like them a lot. Got this darker gray in here. And this is being stitched on Fabric Flare Thin White Pine Board. It's 28 count even weave. And I got a small start on this. It's not very big. I think I started this last Saturday, and I was going to my cousin's for dinner, and I didn't get very far, and I didn't pick it up when I got home. I started it in the middle so that I made sure that I had enough coverage around either side. But yeah, so I'll work on this a little bit more and maybe make some, real progress. But I think it's going to be really cute. They also send a finishing fabric. I think this is a Chelsea's Check. Yeah, Chelsea's Checks, aqua and white. So it's nice. This whole kit came with everything. It came with a card. And in the card, it explained all of the things that you received in the kit with pricing or the value of it. And then this is how I think Chelsea finished hers. And then I think down here it tells you where you can find all of these things. So it gives you SKU numbers, and it gives you, I don't think it tells you where. Oh, yes, it does. The Cathedral window wood wall decor, and it gives you the SKU number, and floral wreath SKU number found at Hobby Lobby. I have this this wooden window piece, but I have it in black. So that was a new start, and that was fun. I'm glad that I got to work on that. And then I started on, I have had this printed out probably for the better part of a year, maybe a little longer. And I never got to it last year. This is Queen of the Bees by the Little Stitcher. And I just decided that I needed to start working on it. And I'm working on this one right here at the bottom. I'm not sure if I'll do the one on the top, but I thought the one on the bottom is awfully cute. I am stitching this on, I don't know who makes this fabric, but it is, it has a honeycomb pattern to it. I'm thinking Fabric with a Flare, maybe. It's printed on one side, and then it's plain on the back side. So this is one of those fabrics that are printed. But I thought, oh, the honeycomb, when I saw that, I had to pick it up because I remembered that I had this chart and I wanted to work on it. And that's how far I got. A very quick, easy stitch. I'm using all of the called for flosses. I will say here in the skeins, they look really, really different. but when I started stitching, you really can't tell that this straight line here is really a much different color than the one on the bottom. But when I realized it, I hadn't done the great, you know, picking of stitches yet for when I started this, but I thought, you know, it's okay. You probably can't really tell, but it is okay from a distance. There is a difference there. It's just not as much as I would have hoped for. When you look at the floss in the skein, I am stitching this 1/2. Anyways, so that's fun. I think this will look really cute. I have a tiered tray in the house, and my thought is to put it in that, make it into a pillow and put it there. One of my, now we're gonna go on to haul. Not a whole lot of haul. I belong to the Floss Fix, Classic Color Floss Fix by Fat Quarter Shop, and so my February Classic Colorworks came in, and these are all of the colors. Argyle Socks, Aunt Marie's Violet, Auntie D, Autumn Spice, Avocado, and Baby Blanket. And the colors, I have a pattern, and I'm looking for a really pretty hand-dyed that has a lot of variegation. And this has got a lot of purple and gray. Argyle Socks, Avocado, Autumn Spice has a lot of variegations in the orangey gold tone. Really pretty. This is going to be really pretty for fall stitching. Auntie D, it's purple and blues. I'm sure that's not really a purple. I'm sure it's supposed to be like a dark inky blue, but it looks purple to me. And then Auntie Marie's Violet. Not a lot of variegation. And then Baby Blanket. This this floss reminds me of a yarn that I made my daughter when she was, when I was pregnant with her. I crocheted a baby blanket, and it had a lot of these pastel colors. So, and then last weekend, my husband and I were over at the store at home, and it's a new store to our area. I want to say they're based out of Texas. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. But we went there. I have 4 roses that we took out of the ground and we need to put in pots when we were doing some work in the backyard. So we went there to buy a pot, and I kind of wandered around, and I found 4x4 inch frames for $4. So I picked up this one. And then this is the SKU number on the back. And actually the season, the February one, it might actually fit in the 4x4 frame. So that's kind of interesting. And then I bought this one. I like the detail on it and the SKU for that. And that's it for me for this week. I got a lot done, and I got a lot undone. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate that you stopped by. If you stayed till the end, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell and comment. I love reading your comments, and I do my best to try to reply to them in some way, shape, or form. But it's just nice to know. I feel like I'm part of a bigger community when you comment, and it's fun, and it's nice because some of you share your little tips and tricks, and it's just nice to know that other people are on the same wavelength that I am when it comes to certain things. So anyways, have a great day. Happy weekend. Happy weekend. Have a great day. Have a great rest of your weekend. Happy stitching. Bye.